testing is one of those things that every dev team knows they should be doing better, but nobody wants to spend time on. Now, writing test scripts is tedious, maintaining them is worse, and most teams are drowning in technical test case debt. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you the solution to that problem by walking you through how you can write tests using natural language. You just describe what it is that you want tested, and the platform I'm going to walk you through automatically creates the test for you, tests the site, creates in-depth test suites, and gives you the full executable code. Let's dive in. Now, the solution that I'm talking about here is called Kane AI. Now, this is a generative AI native testing agent where you can give it natural language, so text, things like JIRA tickets, PRDs, images, doesn't really matter, and what it can do is create structured test cases for you. Now, it's not pseudocode, it will actually give you real executable code across multiple different languages and frameworks. Now, you can think of it like an intelligent assistant that fits into your existing workflow. It's not something that's meant to replace a QA team, it's just to make testing a lot less tedious and a lot easier. So I'll just quickly scroll through so you can get a sense of what it is, and then I'm going to give you a full tutorial so you can see how to set it up. To be honest, it's very cool, and tests that would normally take hours to write, it can generate in a matter of a few minutes, and it can actually work on mobile or web. So you can just directly give it a mobile app, you can directly give it a live website, and it can go figure out what it needs to do, take actions, and then again, give you that exportable code. So what's cool is that you can have it link up to things like your JIRA tickets, you can pull in PRDs, which I'll show you later, audio, text, spreadsheets, whatever. You can also then author just using natural language. So you can just tell it, hey, I want to test this, go figure out how to do that. And you can even test things like APIs, right? And check your network and all of that kind of stuff. So anyways, it's super cool. What I want to do now is just pop into the platform here and show you exactly how it works. And quick shout out to Kane AI for sponsoring this video. Now let me show you how it works. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description in case you want to follow along with me here, but you can use this for free. It will give you a free trial, see if you like it, and then you can upgrade later. So what you're going to do is just create a new account. I already have one, so I'm just going to sign in, and then I'm going to show you the first AI test case generation. All right, so I've signed into my account here, and if you're looking for this specific page, if you go on the left-hand sidebar, you'll see a bunch of different options from the main platform TestMu AI. Kane AI is then a feature inside of that. You can press here and then directly go to the agent. Now, this platform is very comprehensive for really anything related to testing. I'm not going to go through all of it. That would take many hours to cover. We're just going to cover Kane AI in this particular video, and even here, we're really scratching the surface. Okay, so from here, what we can do is we can select the interface we want to test. So desktop browser, mobile app, mobile browser, etc. We can then generate scenarios, which I'll talk about later, or we can just quick author a test case. So we can say, hey, anytime we go to this website, when you press this button, this thing should happen, and then it will just figure out how to generate that test. So what I'm going to do is just do a quick dictation in here explaining what it is that I want this to test. In my case, I just have a simple website that I've created for a small business that I'm running right now where I help companies install AI systems, and this is just a form that I get them to fill in so I can spin up an AI agent for them. So effectively, what I want to do is just test that all of the fields work correctly and that all of the mandatory fields are filled in before it lets you submit, okay? So I am just going to quickly dictate it to that. So I'm just going to say, I would like you to go to the website that I paste here and make sure that it does not allow me to submit unless all of the required fields are inputted. Okay, and then I'm just going to paste the website. And by the way, if you're wondering what I'm using to dictate here, it's a tool called Whisper Flow. I've used it a lot, and they're a long-term partner of this channel. It's extremely fast, and it's a much better dictation because it actually uses AI on the back end compared to like something, the built-in OS dictation, which hardly works, at least for me. It will also give you like automatic formatting and a bunch of stuff like that and save all the dictations, which can be quite useful, especially if something didn't go in the correct text box. And anyways, you guys can download that for free from the link in the description if you'd like to use it. Point is, we've got this now. I would like you to go to the website. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and press on enter. And we should see here, it's gonna spin up a virtual machine. It's gonna open the Google Chrome tab, and we can actually view exactly what's happening in real time. So I'm just gonna approve it to go to this particular page. It should then open up our website. So let's give it a second to do that and then start navigating through the site. So you can see it's opened up this. I'm not touching the keyboard. This is happening automatically. And now we can watch in real time it step through the website and come up with what it thinks the test case should be based on the language that we gave it. Okay, so let's wait for it to finish here. It does take a second. You can see it'll take a minute or two to step through the site. Once that's done, I'll be right back. Okay, so it just completed the test here. We can see that these are the steps that it ran through. And now if we're happy with the test, what we can do is press on save. However, if we wanted to add something else, we could again describe it in natural language. We could also just use the / command here. So we can add an API test, we can add a module, visual comparison, if else, network logs, etc., right? A bunch of stuff like that. And we can even change to be adaptive, which allows the AI to explore the site a little bit more. Whereas in this case, what it's trying to do is prioritize the speed and reproducibility of the test. Now we also can switch into this manual interaction mode. So now what we could do is we could actually just step through the site. So I could go to this field, you can see it's recording my input. I could say, hello world. I could fill in my email, right? tim@techwithtim.net, and you can see that it's recording all of this. So if we don't want the AI to kind of guess here when it's generating the test case, it can just record what we're doing, save all of those steps, and then we can reproduce those consistently. All right, so we can just turn off manual interaction, and then if we're happy with all of this, we could just press on save and validate code. Again, this one doesn't make too much sense because I was just showing you what's possible. And what it's going to do now is generate the full test case for us with all of the reproducible code. So you can see it's now giving us an automatic name. We can change that. Obviously, it's giving us all of the steps. It has a description. All of this is, pre-configured for us. We can go to the code. Now it's just in the process of validating. But if I open this up, we should be able to see all of the code that's reproducible in Python, Selenium, etc. that we could download. And then we can also view all of the runs. So we could manually run this and trigger that there. And then any issues. So if it does detect a bug on the site, what it will do is automatically log an issue here for this particular test case. And then of course we can view the version history and you get the idea. Now this is super cool. However, where it gets even more cool is when we actually go over to the Generate Scenarios tab, because here we were just manually authoring a specific test and we upload something like a PRD. So in my case, I actually have a PRD here for this website. I just had AI generate it, but you can see it goes through some user stories, the form fields, the objectives, etc. So what I'm going to do is just upload that document here, and just from that document alone, this will be able to generate a full test suite for us. Okay, so you can see that I've just dropped that in here. We've got the PDF. We could add some more language if we want, but in my case, I'm just going to go with run, and let's see what it whips up. Okay, so we can see that it thought here for a second, and what it's done now is it's generated 19 individual tests across 5 different test suites. You can see all of them right here. We have some that are positive, some that are negative, right? All of this kind of stuff. And what this is doing is giving us effectively a plan for what we should automate for all of these different tests based on the PRD. Now, I'm not gonna do all of them for right now, so I'm just gonna uncheck some just so it's a little bit faster. So let's just do the first set here and go create and automate. From here, I'm just going to paste the URL and go ahead and press on Create Automation. And we're going to wait here for a second for it to create this. So you can see we now have these tests queued up. So we have these 2. One of them is currently running. And you can obviously have more agents running in parallel as well. And if I click into this, we'll be able to view the full run in real time. Okay, so all of that is great. But as well as testing the UI, we can also test APIs. So I just want to quickly show you how that would work. If you go into one of the test cases, I've just got one here, and you go / and you go add an API, what you can do is just put in something. So in this case, I'll just do like a GET request of API/submissions. Now this should fail if we don't have an admin authorization header. So what we'll do is just go ahead and press on send. It should then be able to execute the API, and we can then verify what the response is. So what I'm going to do is just resume the session here so it can execute the API. We'll wait for that to execute so we can get the response. And then again, we can assert what that API response should be. All right, so we can see that it executed the API here, and if we look, we see we get a 401, which is unauthorized, which is exactly what we're expecting. And then we can have a look at this, and we can view what the result actually is. So now that we have the response, we can go /, we can assert the network logs, and then we can press on this here, right? And we can verify that this is the case. So we can see we had a GET request to this URL, so we can just validate all of this, and then we can go to the response, and we can say that we want to make sure, sorry, not the response header, but the response here looks like this. And we can add the assertion and then just add it like so. So now we have a network assertion, so we're going to check to make sure that when this query is run, that all of these things are the case. And then again, we could continue the test, and we are good to go. So that's how you can test APIs. Obviously, you can be a little bit more advanced than that, but overall quite cool, and you can combine that with the UI testing in one test case like this. Now, another thing to note here is that KaneAI is self-healing. So if the UI slightly changes, it's not going to completely break your test case because it is using AI in the background. It will try to automatically heal itself and to fix and adapt to the changing user interface. So if a button is slightly different or the text is a little bit off, it's not a big deal, and it should should be able to adapt that automatically, which is a big feature that allows you to not have to constantly maintain all of the test cases when just a really small thing changes. Now, of course, all of this really only becomes useful if you can actually connect it with the tools that you're using. So if you go here to Quick Actions and you go to Integrations on the kind of side menu bar here, you'll see there is a bunch of different options like CI and CD, but you can connect to GitHub, which I've already done, Jira, Azure DevOps, BugHerd, Zipboard, all of this kind of stuff, so that anytime, for example, you track your own bug, it can automatically be picked up inside of this platform. You can test it, you can have things going back and forth, and you can really configure these, quite in depth. It has pretty much all of the tools that you would want. Now, overall, I think this platform is really interesting. It definitely can be a bit of a learning curve to figure out how to generate the tests properly. You obviously have to validate that they're working correctly, and because it can generate them so quickly, you do need to look through and make sure that it is generating them properly, because obviously with AI, sometimes it can make mistakes. But generally speaking, this is great. I'm glad that we have these kind of AI tools that can take away a lot of the annoying, tedious work of QA and testing. I'm very interested to see how much better this gets over time and if it can really take over a massive amount of that testing workflow. Again, this is not designed to replace QA engineers. It's simply to enable them to work more efficiently and to not have to do all of the tedious, annoying setup and process that normally you would write completely from scratch. So anyways, guys, I'm curious to hear what you think of KaneAI. Let me know in the description down below, and I look forward to seeing you in another video.